Hello and welcome to my Fire Emblem Fates map ranking video. Now, this boy is a little bit of a behemoth because Fire Emblem Fates has 97 story maps between its 3 routes. Every route, Chapter 6 onwards, is a completely fresh experience, only up through Chapter 5. So the first 6 maps of the game are completely shared by all the routes. And even then, repeated maps in like Birthright, Conquest, and Revelation almost always play entirely differently. As opposed to something like Fire Emblem 3 Houses, where essentially there's 1 or 2 unique maps per route, and Blue Lions, Golden Deer, and Silver Snow pretty much all play the exact same, with you starting the exact same place on the exact same map, and all of that. Fates is not like that. The Ice Tri Village, it appears in 2 routes, but it plays very, very different in both of those routes, which makes this a very daunting video, especially because I'm going to be incorporating the 8 maps from the story DLCs, the 2 Hidden Truths maps, and then the 6 Heirs of Fates maps. Those have stories. I think they belong in here. I will warn you now, though, that the tier list that I'm actually going to show at the very end of the video, those are not going to be on there. I couldn't find a template that had the story DLC maps, and it's only 8 maps out of 105. I thought, okay, doesn't matter. And of course, again, like all these map ranking videos, fully subjective, fully opinionated, and also with 105 maps, it is extremely hard to accurately place these maps. Tier matters more than actual ranking in a map, in a video like this. There's just so many. There's no way I'm going to accurately put my true opinions on 105, especially when my thoughts on them may change on a whim. This script essentially took 4 hours to make, longest I've ever spent on one of these videos, and honestly, if I really sat down, I could probably move 5 or 10 maps if I really, really wanted to, just because so many of the maps in this game are so good. Anyways, though, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into our lowest tier, F tier maps, baby. Ugh, it's been so long since I've recorded one of these. It feels nice to get back into it, and well, I'm getting back into it with some pretty sucky maps. Fire Emblem Fates, all 3 routes as a whole, tend to have some really, really good maps. These actually just are horrible. These are ass. These bring down the experience. Also, as I get into these, it is worth noting that I've actually written stuff for every map. But if I get a little bit rambly, that's because I'm adding more onto what I said. And if I'm smart, I'll cut that out in editing. But anyways, 105. Prologue. Ties that bind. Why is this here? It is worse than all the Chapter 6s, which share the exact same map layout. And this just does not need to exist. It does not contribute anything substantial to anything. I'm going to try to avoid talking about story at all because Conquest and Revelation don't have good stories. But something like Conquest has great gameplay. I don't want a story to bring down its maps. But this is one of those times it's like, why is this here? You're going to get to this literally 6 maps. This is a worse version of everything. You literally have a tutorial map next map, so the tutorials here are not needed. Why does this exist? Oh, I know why it exists, because Fire Emblem Awakening did it, and Fire Emblem Awakening was a success. That is a horrible reason to do this. At least it's not bad as Fire Emblem Echo Shadows of Valentia, where every act starts with a cutscene that spoils the game. 104. Chapter 1. Nor. This is the biggest nothing burger of a map in the game. Literally nothing interesting here. 1 enemy in a boring dragon vein. Obviously, this is the tutorial map, but you also just had the prologue that was also essentially a tutorial map. You do not need both of these maps. And also, you're introducing dragon veins in the lamest way possible. With a dragon vein that's a heal tile. This dragon vein is essentially just a vulnerary. Yeah, that's a great way to get the gaming people to actually care about dragon veins. Just kidding, it's horrible. I ignored dragon veins for so long playing Fates, and this map is partially to blame. 103. Revelation Chapter 10. Voice of God. I bet you're surprised that this is higher than the previous maps, but honestly, I couldn't justify putting them higher than the bottom 2. They have absolutely nothing to them. This map has stuff. it just sucks. You see, the idea of a map that completely changes depending on how you interact with terrain is interesting. And Dragon Veins also can allow for really fun stuff like that. The problem is here that the execution is dreadful. You have all the snow blocking you from the boss. Okay, cool. You need to clear a path to the boss. Awesome. Enemies are hidden in the snow. Alright, interesting. And snow blocks are uneven sizes, so break the wrong one at the wrong time, and oh wow, all of a sudden there's 5 enemies and Azure is dead. That's terrible, right? What really sucks is how long this map takes if you want to get all the items, because there are items all throughout. Instead of just putting them in the villages so you just have to clear out the paths to the villages, no, there's tons of items all over, and if you make one mistake, break the wrong snow right at the end of the map, well, there goes a half hour of your time. 102. Conquest Chapter 19, Kitsune Lair. What could have been a fun and challenging map on its own due to its interesting terrain with lots of tiles that slow movement in fun places, and a bridge that can serve as a really fun chokehold point, and enemies that can cross water, along with some enemies, player units that can cross water, as well as the fact that some of the enemies have effective damage dealt to mounted units. That is... All that sounds good, right? It sounds fun. Well, it is all ruined by the annoying gimmick of not being able to always attack the enemies and the pass skills that ruin the map. Is this maybe a skill issue? Yeah, maybe, but honestly, this is one of those maps that just made me hate Conquest for so long. And if you just remove the gimmick of not being able to attack the enemies, this map, like, it's not an A tier or anything, but it could be a really fun map. 101. Revelation, Chapter 25, Blades Drawn. Oh, bother. This is the third slow-ass map that you need to wait on moving platforms for within the late game of Revelation alone. Being the last of these boring maps with, like, having to wait for, like, proper movement tiles. I mean, that would make you hate this map already, even if I didn't have a bone to pick with this piece of trash. While it may have been skill issue related, after the numerous attempts that this map took on the Let's Play I recorded, I have a personal vendetta against this map. A map I already did not find interesting, a map I already did not like, and now I have a personal vendetta and I despise it. F tier, you suck. 100. Paralog 7, Father and Liege. This is Shiro's Paralog, and this map sucks. Paralogs scale based on when you do them, and this paralog is designed in a way that Shiro becomes extremely hard to recruit by the time you get to Chapter 20. And considering I typically do paralogs around Chapter 19 and 20, that makes this map pure ass. Also, the sand gimmick is introduced in another map way earlier in the game, and it's also used on an average map. Desert maps just suck as a whole. Reused gimmick, and the paralog scaling is typically a really fun thing to make sure paralogs stay interesting and keep children unit up to date, but it just makes this paralog so painful. D tier maps. These maps are ones that don't get me angry, but I wouldn't consider them fun. They're maps that more often than not, once I see I have to play it, is a little bit of a drag. It's not going to ruin my night or my gaming session like the F tiers might. But definitely, I'd rather be playing other maps. 99, Paralog 14. After the end, Garaget. Annoying Train and Faceless as the main enemies, and Faceless are such nothingness. They're so boring. I'll get into that later, though. But just overall, this map is boring. The train's boring. Other than the fact that it's just a ton of forest all over the place. The enemies are boring. There's no real fun gimmick. And boring is the worst a Fire Emblem map could be. 98. Revelation, Chapter 7. Unspeakable World. Another Revelation map already. Cool. And not only is this another Revelation map already, this is another one that I like the idea of, and I despise the execution, just like Chapter 10. It's like a Fog of War map where you don't know where to go. Problem 1, it's a boring-ass pick-a-path. There is a correct and a wrong way to go. If this was just kind of a thing where you couldn't see the future rooms, but you could kind of go anywhere you'd like, it would be a less offensive version of Chapter 10, and I think it could be a fun idea. Problem 2. The map is overly long. It becomes very boring very fast due to the lack of interesting enemies, and you also have pretty much no units to play with, which essentially means it's move Corrin, dance Corrin, move Butler, maybe dance Butler instead of Corrin. That's it. That's the map. And it's such a long, winding path, especially if you want all the side objectives, the chests. It's just boring, and it feels like you're just turn grinding. 97, Chapter 4, Hoshido. I have always just found the terrain on this map annoying. I mean, obviously you can use the Dragon Veins to reduce it. But the problem is, if you do that, then the green units are going to steal even more of your XP. This is early enough in the game. I don't want green unit Ryoma stealing my XP. So I don't want to deal with the terrain by using the Dragon Veins, because then he's just going to go forward and kill all the enemies. I want this XP. So, sucky early game map. 96, Birthright Chapter 21, Burning Falls. I don't like volcano fire maps in Fire Emblem. That's just a fact. And yep, that's what this map is. In addition to that, it is also a pick-a-path map. Yahoo! Pick the wrong Dragon Vein, and there's going to be fire ignited. Ooh, so much fun. So much fun. Also, again, such nothingless enemies, boring gimmicks. Because I can forgive having, like, Faceless as the main enemy if there's actually a fun gimmick, but nope. I'll get to that later, again, I promise. 95, Paralog 10, Hunter and Prey, Selkie. Half of the enemies on this map don't even move. The map actually kind of starts fun and engaging. But within like 2 turns, it becomes a very boring, mindless slog as you just slowly kill the archers to get XP for your weaker units. Because they do not move, and since they're archers and already have 2 range, you can just go right next to them. There's no, like, real worry. As long as you turn on enemy ranges, there's nothing to even think about. It's mindless and boring. 94, Revelation Chapter 11, Mutual Enemies. Oh boy, does this map stink. The spikes are annoying as hell. You can reduce them using Dragon Veins, but they come back if you go back over the ground. You also get a Kinshi Knight, which is a really fun class, who doesn't have a bow, the main gimmick of the class, when you already have other flyers. This map sucks in Birthright too, but oh boy, I just hate myself when I play it here. 93, Birthright Chapter 18, Leo. Boring terrain, just a bunch of swamps and trees with an endless generic enemy. Faceless essentially being the only enemy means there's no need to consider things like Weapon Triangle. And ultimately, they are a boring enemy that can be fixed with an interesting victory condition or fun map design. Like I say, this is a defeat boss map with no recruitment, and really only having, again, mud pits for terrain. This map really has no reason to be redeemed. Faceless are only fun when the map itself is fun, the victory condition is fun, or there's a fun gimmick. And all these Faceless spamming maps so far don't have that. 92, Birthright Chapter 6, In the White Light. This map is boring, and when it doesn't do anything really wrong, but it's also just boring. You kill a couple of enemies. Cool. That's the worst sin ever. 91, Conquest Chapter 6, Embrace the Dark. It's the last map, except slightly better, because you don't want Ryoma to kill Xander, do you? So at least there's a little bit of something to think about. 90, Birthright Chapter 10, Ninja Village. You may be like, why is this map so much higher than the Revelation version? The stupid spikes that come out of the ground still make this map annoying to play, but unless my brain is fogging, which is always possible, I might have fog of war in my brain, but unless my brain is fog of warring, there is no way to actually remove the spikes in this version of the route. So you don't have to worry about them coming back and annoying you again. And the main saving grace hero is Takumi. You actually have to go recruit Takumi, which I don't know, it gives something more engaging to do on this map. Is it time to start saying number before the number? I think it's time. Number 89, Paralog 1, Tragic Start, Mozu. the map layout almost makes up for such boring enemies and honestly not even a good enemy layout. Like the faceless kind of just feel thrown on it. The map's also a little too wide. I like how it gives you multiple ways to approach it, but what? This is a route map. If it was a defeat boss map, that means Mozu would be the side objective and you can ignore her. It's really just kill the boss, do this for XP. But the problem is, since you have to route the enemy, I don't know, it just makes it boring. It gives you less choices, personal choices. Number 88, Revelation Chapter 23, Arret Undone. Who would have thunk the second of 3 slow maps that have the gimmick of moving platforms, again, one where you have to wait on them here, is ranked so low? Well, the enemy themselves certainly don't suck. The actual layout of the map does suck. The waiting on the platforms is so boring. Also, Arret is the boss again. For the 3rd time in this route. So boring. Number 87, Conquest Chapter 26, Ryoma. Most of what I have to say about the next map also applies here, except this map has more annoying enemies. I'm particularly thinking about the left side of the map. And Ryoma will wait 25 turns or whatever that bullcrap text is. Come on! L map. Number 86, Birthright Chapter 26, Xander. Most of what I say for this map, again, has to go for the previous map. While I wrote the script, I wrote this one first. So this is where all my meaty stuff to say is. Well, an interesting concept. The game gives you no incentive to actually play the map. With both of these, you could just beef up your corn and kill the boss. Xander, in particular, is really easy to cheese on lower difficulties. And while I am trying to not talk about the story again, this one definitely more portrays than this one and the previous one. But the story per se of this map is so utterly stupid that it makes me enjoy this map even less. Even when I skip the story. It's just a boring map. It's just not worth it. Also, it feels like with both of these maps, I haven't actually looked at the stats, but it feels like the actual enemies on this map are higher scaled compared to all the normal difficulty scaling. It feels like there's actually a difficulty spike, and the next map, Chapter 27 or 26, depending on the route, feels kind of the same difficulty as this map. Is that like to incentivize you cheesing it by just killing the boss? I don't know. Bad map. Number 85, Birthright Chapter 14, Light Scatters. Most of this map is a boring, empty plain. What saves this map from being at the bottom of D tier or even in F tier is the second part, where you have a bunch of strong enemies that can be simplified through the use of a Dragon Vein, which helps remind the player that you actually check the Dragon Veins, and it allows you to get more easy XP. But those difficult enemies also don't move unless you're in their range, which again, you can just kind of avoid them, even without the Dragon Veins, so it's like, why? Number 84, Revelation Chapter 20, Seeds of Doubt. Oh, would you look at that? The first map where you have to essentially wait for the platforms to be where you want them to be. Except this time, and the reason why this map is much higher than 25 and, 23? Yeah, 23. Is that you actually have control over the platforms. Now, there is actually another platform. There's actually another map in the game where you actually have to wait on things to move to do it. That's ranked a little higher because I think it's a little bit more fun. This one is at least saving grace because you get to control the platforms instead of having to wait for them to move on their own. You have to move them. The layout, however, is still boring, and I still don't like the gimmick, and I promise, I don't hate all the gimmicks in Revelation. Number 83, Paralogue 3, Surprise Duet, Sugar. Would you look at that? The third map where you have to wait on platforms to move. Except this time they're boats. I'm sure this map could be fun, but playing it again requires waiting on the boats to move, and the boss sometimes just self-destructs on first enemy phase anyways, so what's the point? Boring. C-tier maps. These maps are fine. I like these maps. We're already to the point where I like these maps. In past ranking videos, I was like, this may be the best A tier of any game I've ranked. This may be the best B tier of any game I ranked. This may actually be the best C tier of any game I ranked. The C tier is thick. All these maps are plenty enjoyable. I have issues with some of the lower ones, and I have positives with some of the higher ones. Not enough to move tiers, but overall, these are all maps that, like, they're Fire Emblem Fates. I'm playing Fire Emblem Fates, so I'm having some degree of fun. Number 82, Paralog 11. A Long Grudge, Hizumi. The movement restricted terrain is more annoying than it is fun or interesting, and brings down what could have been a more enjoyable map. That's all I have written, and quite frankly, this is also just a forgettable map. Whenever I was actually doing things, I kept like, Long Grudge, whose is that? Hizumi, however you pronounce it. I was like, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to be forgettable. Number 81, Paralog 8, A Great Hunt, Hiragi. Without any flyers, or without any player flyers, this map would be painful, as it is the map is made up entirely of enemy flyers who can completely ignore the terrain, which that divides the map essentially 1/3 with the other 2/3. And again, all the enemies and flyers makes that terrain boring. Just think of how much more fun this map could have been with a more varied enemy. Especially with, you have like Kuragi on the other side. Throw in a couple of non-flying enemies over there that are also kind of trying to get to Kuragi to incentivize you to bring flyers. And just non-flying stuff, enemies that make the terrain not so one-sided would be really fun. My issue with this map is essentially the issue that a lot of people have with Fog of War. The problem of it, the obstacle that needs to be overcame, the terrain, is one-sided. Number 80, Revelation Chapter 24, Days Lost. I really like the stealth aspect of the door mechanic, with this game, especially with the game lying to you about the final door, and which one opened on the final one. The problem I have with this map is on hard mode and above, make the movement much more restrictive, as if you end player turn and what will become the enemy's range, you lose. And I don't know how I'm struggling to properly describe what that problem is, but like in a normal mode, as long as you don't end player phase in enemy's range, you're good. But if you move to a place and then enemy phase, the enemy moves to a place, and then you are, for the next player phase, you start in the enemy's range, you're dinged, and I don't like that. Number 79, Birthright Chapter 8, Fierce Winds. The only thing of note on this map is that it is like the Shiro map. This is actually the map I was alluding to. It's a desert map where the desert can be removed. Truly an average map. Number 78, Heirs of Fates 1, and Endless Dreams. This is a much better version of Birthright Chapter 26, but ultimately it fails to convince me to separate my tiny army and take both sides of the map, which is something that Birthright Chapter 26 doesn't completely fail at. I don't really know if they wanted the player to separate their army, since you have such a small army in this DLC. But turtling is also rarely intended, so I do think it is worth bringing up as a issue with this map that kind of slows it down and makes it a little bit more boring. Number 77, Birthright Chapter 20, Fort Dragonfall. The dragon veins littered throughout this map allow the player to remove the interesting part of this map and what separates it from Conquest. Number 76, Revelation Chapter 16, White Flames. This is again one of those maps that just truly feels average in my opinion. You can use the dragon veins to change how you approach the map, kind of like Chapter 10 of Revelation, except here using dragon veins. But I don't know, something has always felt boring about the enemy placement to me, and where you start, essentially you start at one corner and you get reinforcements in one corner and you go to another corner, and that's really it. You can skip the gimmick entirely just by going around, which it's boring. Also, again, I hate lava visualized maps, and that's what this is, so I find this map ugly too. Number 75, Chapter 2, Gift of Gangolari. A fun early game map that can be approached in both a defensive and aggressive way, especially thanks to the Dragon Vein. That being said, this map really doesn't have much to it, which is to be expected. It's the second map. It's the first non-tutorial map of the game, but at least it would be kind of boring. Number 74, Chapter 5, Mother. A perfectly serviceable early game map that introduces your dancer unit and dragon effective weaponry, which is particularly important since your main character is a dragon. But beyond that, there really is nothing of note on this map. Perfect for C tier. Number 73, Revelation Chapter 15, Rainbow Sage. The worst version of this map, but even at its worst, this map is perfectly fine and is in C tier, due mostly to its design that helps incentivize splitting your army due to the stair locations at the start, compared to where your units start, with half your army being closer to one set of stairs than the other, as well as having the chest, and while you could just go to the second to last room and go back for the chest, that's boring. Why would you do that? That being said, just in general though, this version of the map is boring compared to the other two versions, as it has no gimmick to make it stand out. Which, oddly enough, I guess does make it, in a way, stand out because it is the only version without a gimmick. So, instead of standing out in a positive way, it stands out in a negative way. Number 72, Paralog 17, 2 defenders, Ignatius. Defending the village would be so much more fun if the train wasn't so annoying to get there. I always forget how limiting the train is in this map, even though it visually does not look like it should be. And honestly, this map just disappoints me, because I feel like the idea of just defending a village would be way cooler if it was also just a defend map. Number 71, Hidden Truths 1. This was actually one of the hardest maps to place. The map itself is not interesting since it is just a mid-level Awakening map, maybe even lower than mid-level. But the Awakening trio, as units, all complement each other so well, is slowly killing off the enemies with dual strikes and finding out when to pair up and using the stat boosting items in the right time is all super satisfying. In my Let's Play, I talked how I used to play Fates like Awakening, and I couldn't stand this map then. But once I started learning how to play this map properly, taking advantage of things like dual strikes and pair up, it became an oddly satisfying map, despite the fact that it really doesn't have much going on for it. Number 70, Birthright Final, Dawn Breaks. While the layout and enemy placement is fine, I find this map generic. The boss is just another dragon that comes out of nowhere, and the map doesn't really do anything fun enough to justify reusing that previous map that we just had. Especially when you barely need to address the whole bottom part of the map. Your units kind of start in the middle, then all you have to do is kind of go up. No real incentive to go around or split up. Number 69, nice. Revelation Chapter 27, Hear My Cry. This is essentially the previous map that I talked about, but slightly more fun. Same concept of reusing the map. In fact, this feels like, this map, despite being the penultimate map, it feels like the final map of Revelation. Because Chapter 26 and 27 do what 27 in the end game do for the other maps, which is fun. The thing is, though, even though this reuses the map, and it does the same thing with Birthright, where it really doesn't do anything too interesting with it, I'm more willing to be kind to it because it isn't the final map of the game. Also, I always really enjoy the first turn on this map, because it does feel like a first turn to defend, which is nice. And you also got reinforcement Dragon Veins all spread throughout, way closer to you. Although I've never actually seen reinforcements come out of them, so maybe more reinforcements would again make this map more interesting. Number 68, Birthright Chapter 7, A Vow Upheld. A perfectly fine map with underwhelming Dragon Veins that just do heal tiles right at the chokeholds. It's fine. 67, Revelation Chapter 8, Trader's Brand. Again, it is literally just a previous map, except I find it more engaging and enjoyable. Just starting outside the fort is something about the chest placement feels a little bit more engaging and fun. Even though the chests are in the exact same place, it feels more fun, it feels more engaging with splitting your army here, as opposed to the earlier map where, I don't know. I don't really know why I like this map more, but I do like it more. Number 66, Birthright Chapter 24, Tears of a Dragon. In theory, this is a map I would like, but I just don't find it as much fun as I always think I'll find it. I think that's because I just struggle to find a strategy on this map, which just leaves it kind of feeling average to me. Hans is kind of a boring boss, and if I remember correctly, doesn't actually have the same gimmick as the map Hanoka, where the flyers ranges can change depending on the Dragon Veins. I also wish that was a little bit more in play, because there's so much more you can do with the flyers, but it just isn't. I just don't have fun with it like I always hope I will. Number 65, Paralog 15, Hidden Bravery, Seigbert. This is an enjoyable enough map. I enjoy the use of Dragon Veins to stop reinforcements and to remove the forest. This is essentially a better version to me of Chapter 4 with the terrain. I do, however, find the status stab at the end extremely annoying, as well as the Dragon Vein that typically does beefy armor knights right next to the boss with a strong two-range weapon, annoying to deal with. And quite frankly, ruins what could have been a B or maybe even A tier if I was on a good day map. Number 64, Conquest Chapter 9, another trial. One of the weakest links of Conquest's early game, which is saying something because this is the first Conquest early game map we've actually had on this ranking, and it's taken this long. It tells you Conquest is very solid. And this is essentially a fine map. I like how you have two different ways to approach entering it. But once you get into the fort, it's kind of just there. The only real noteworthy thing is Azura, which is a less fun version of Revelation Chapter 24 with the stealth stuff, where it kind of feels like, yeah, they kind of want you to go to the chest, I feel like, but she's just so weak and can't. And I mean, I have in my notes capturable enemies, but that's because I always forget that you can capture enemies of Birthright and Revelation, so it feels a lot more impactful because this is the one enemy I actually capture, even though I never use him. So, I don't know. Number 63, Conquest Chapter 11, Rainbow Stage. The other early game Conquest map that I don't absolutely simp for. While Birthright has a really fun gimmick, I love Birthright's gimmick, and we'll get into that. I find this map's gimmick not nearly as fun and maybe even a little annoying. Obviously, I assume this gimmick is meant to be like to the players, make sure you check enemy skills before you fight them, because all the rooms have different enemy skills. But I just find counter so annoying that it kind of just brings down the map for me. Also, Hexing Rod. I hate Hexing Rods. Number 62, Revelation Chapter 18, Veiled Kingdom. I actually quite enjoy the first two-thirds of this map, with the various warp trials that you need to go to and activate the Dragon Veins all throughout to get to the final boss. And, you could turtle, or you can, split your army up and go to different places to handle different parts. I like that, it's fun. But then the final room is kind of just a generic room. That, again, brings down change the ending a little bit, and this could have quite honestly been maybe even a B or A tier map. But it isn't. Number 61, Birthright Chapter 11, To the Sea. This is the perfectly fine boat map that starts really fun with the onslaught of fires. I enjoy boat maps. I actually do enjoy kind of the more limited movement they can give you. And again, I like first turns that you kind of need to be a little bit more defensive, and having all these flyers come at you does that to me, and I enjoy that a lot. Number 60, Birthright Chapter 16, Pleasure Palace. Well, the long-range magic can be annoying just due to its location being in the final room, so some of you can't really go out of your way to deal with early. I do like the plentiful amount of chests in different locations, where in theory, if you want to get to all of them all, you'll most likely be splitting your army, leaving a couple of units behind to get the first chests and maybe even guarding them, and then making it to the end. Unfortunately, there is just no reason to split up your army, and the rest of the map is just uninteresting due to a lack of interesting enemy unit placement. After the first 3 turns, all the fun parts of this map are over, and it's just because, well, Magic Ballista's in the final room. I can't get to it. Ugh, boring. Number 59, Conquest Chapter 15, The Black Pillar. A fun gimmick with the units being copied that ultimately doesn't get used to the fullest due to only having 3 deployable units, making it kind of a boring map. I hope they revisit this gimmick in another route. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Number 58, Paralog 6, Herbal Remedy, Midori. I love a good chase map. And while this map could be a really good chase map, it's so easy to chase this map in one turn due to the starting position of the player and the boss, as well as the location of the Dragon Veins being really close to the player. It's really easy to just mounted unit, activate Dragon Vein, dance your strongest unit, kill boss. And it's just what's the point of what could be this fun chase map? Number 57, Birthright Chapter 15, Wolfskin Pack. While the map itself really isn't anything too unique, the use of beast enemies means that there are going to be enemies that have mounted effectiveness, which is really fun. But they're pretty few and far between from my little brain up here, which could be wrong, of course. I just don't feel like it's engaging enough, and also it's kind of just a well-I-could turtle map, which brings it down. Number 56, Paralog 18, Nutty Family, Valoria. A perfectly fine map with fun Dragon Vein to disable magic, which is enjoyable. And especially enjoyable because there's 2 long-range magic ballista, which can be very threatening if you don't disable the magic. I also do enjoy the terrain that pushes all your foot units inwards. Again, I just don't find enemy unit placement that engaging, though. The terrain I find engaging, the ballista I find engaging, the Dragon Vein I find engaging, but the final piece, the enemy placement, just, I don't know, kind of feels boring to me, uninspired. Number 55, Conquest Chapter 26, Treason. This could be a really fun map, but I've never felt a reason to split up my army or even take the left-hand path at all. It feels pointless and way harder. The beginning of the map is decently fun, and I like the ending. But even then, the ending would be so much more fun if I were approaching it from 2 sides. But again, I just do not feel the incentive to do that, which leaves me desiring more. Number 54, Birthright Chapter 22, Hidden Capital. No real interesting terrain here, leading to a deceptively simple map. The saving grace is the fact that you have long-range threats, which you want to take out on multiple sides of you. It's incentivizing you to split your army up. This is also followed up by reinforcements flanking you from the south, again, right by long-range attacks, which is really fun. Number 53, Birthright Chapter 23, Camilla. I find the map layout here a ton of fun. The problem is here, I hate the Dragon Veins that Camilla could use, as I always find it annoying to get so much of my army hurt in all one fell swoop. Because it's really not my choice. It's not really a mistake on my end. At least I don't feel like it is. Maybe it's just a skill issue, though. And that sucks. I don't love this map either, because I think somewhere with this map layout is a really fun map. Engage squanders it by making it long and boring map, riddled with endless reinforcements. And here, the Dragon Veins just ruin it. Number 52, Parallel 2, Dragon Blood, Kana. The Dragon Veins allow you to change how you approach this map by raising and lowering rivers is fun. I do not like the enemy placement, though. I find it not fun and boring. It's just having clumps of enemies of the exact same type in a couple of places on the map. It just feels boring and uninspired. I don't really know what else they could have done to spice it up. But I do like the gimmick. B tier maps. I don't know. I just think these maps are kind of neat. I don't know. They're C tier, except they're a little bit neater. Maybe they're a little quirkier. I don't know. I enjoy them, though. And that's good. That's good. I like it. Number 51, Revelation Final, Anon Coast. I just think this map is neat. Literally the definition of the B tier. Yeah, it's all really simple and honestly boring and easy. I mean, the Let's Play, the final video of the series was a sub-hour video, compared to the Conquest Finale, one of the longest videos in the series, and Birthright being reasonable. It's the orderly final map. I didn't have to restart. It's just easy, but Coast looks so cool. He's so cool, so I forgive the map. Number 50, Revelation Chapter 6, Into the Ground. Wow, what a fun way to start the top 50. A version of Chapter 6 that isn't in D tier. Insane, huh? I actually really like this map. It's being attacked from both sides, because you actually have to think about how to approach the map and which army to face. And this quest is made even more enjoyable by having Azura, a weaker unit, as one of your few units. Again, this really makes you think about what army you want to approach first. Because if you don't attack the flyers first, then they may be able to sneak around and kill Azura. Are you going to try to pair up Azura with someone, but then you can't dance? I actually think this map makes you think, and it's actually really fun. Crazy that Chapter 6 is good. Number 49, Conquest Chapter 14, Voice of Paradise. A fun map that always disappoints me because it's not the Birthright version of this map. For the most part, if a map is in Birthright, Conquest, and Revelation, the Conquest version is the best. This map layout is really that one exception. I like the multiple paths, as it feels like it helps me to spell my army up, especially with Keaton's in the south. And enemy placement, kind of thin on each path, again, is fun. But it just feels lacking compared to the Birthright version, which is so fun. Number 48, Revelation Chapter 18, Black Flames. A fun map that forces you to split up your army. Not by starting them on different sides, but by putting all the new units that you're going to get on the opposite side of your starting units. The main thing that holds this map back, in my opinion, is not being able to save before it. I hate that you can't. I hate that you can't before the final maps, but at least that, it almost like, oh, at least that's the final maps. And especially like Chapter 27 and 26 of Revelation, like, take place back to back. There's really, it makes no sense to have time in between those story-wise. Just like it does in these two, but you can save in between them. Like, what? Why? Why? Number 47, Conquest Chapter 21, Eternal Stairway. I know what you're thinking. Why is this map so high? B tier? This is an F tier map, Alex. I'm leaving a dislike. La, 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 la. Feel free to leave a dislike and comment. Any kind of interaction is nice. And even then, though, this isn't like my Saving Stones map ranking, where apparently my opinions are very unpopular. The thing is, though, escape map. Also, if you use the Dragon Veins, this map is made so much more fun and easy. It's kind of just like, let's plow through. It's kind of almost a power fantasy of just like freeze them all in place and killing them all. And yeah, escape map. And I don't know. I actually just do kind of find this map fun. So I can forgive the usage of Faceless. I think the one thing I would change to this map is there's little blockers that kind of prevent you from being able to just stay on one side the whole time. Remove those so you can actually stay on one side and split your army properly. And this map is honestly even better. Number 46, Birthright Chapter 9, Land of Gods. I like how this is the complete inverse of the Conquest version of the map, where here you start at the bottom and expand upwards. While I wish this game gave you a better reason to split your army, I have always enjoyed this map, and sometimes it really is as simple as, I like this map good. And this is kind of one of those maps where this map just good, me just like. Number 45, Revelation Chapter 21, Going Forward. I know a lot of people seem to hate the gimmick of these tiles make the units promoted, these ones make them unpromoted. But I can't help but enjoy it. I think the map is a little too big, though. If you make the room smaller, I think that would make this map even better. And I am glad that this doesn't apply to player units, because then it would just kind of be boring. Number 44, Hidden Truths 2. The Dragon Veins here are really fun, and I do like how the map can change wildly depending on how you do it. Should you ignore the Dragon Veins, you kind of have to go through a couple of really tough stationary enemies. Or if you do all the Dragon Veins, which also involves taking a turn to use items on all your units, and then you get to just skip a hard part of the map and go up, and just the map like physically changes and all. Me have fun. Number 43, Heirs of Fates 3, The Changing Tide. While this map is an extreme improvement over Birthright Chapter 19, it still leaves much to desire with its enemy placement. The biggest boon of this map, though, and why it is in B tier and not like C tier or something, is how well the player units complement each other. You're given such a small tag team group of units, but you have no healer. And even then, all these units, the way you use them just works so well together. Then again, it elevates it all the way up to B tier. Wild, huh? Fun unit placement design is really what the DLC of Three Houses and Engage was missing. Number 42, The Meaning of Life. Conquest Chapter 17, Dead of Betrayal. The opposite of the meaning of life. Yet again, you probably weren't expecting this map to be so high, but honestly, this map is well designed. You get Shura, the previous map, who can open chests, disable spikes, and heal. A true utility unit in this map. And this map also gives you so many different ways to handle it through chokehold points and Dragon Veins that interact with the map, close up to areas. I am convinced that most people that don't like this map have skill issues. And I am not exempt from that. I am sure once I actually get a strategy that I like, this map will skyrocket up. For now, this is one of those few maps that I think is a really good map that I just don't really enjoy. But I know that it's a skill issue. So I was like, you know what? B tier. Number 41, Chapter 3, Journey Begins. This is one of those maps that I can't fully describe why I love it. I mean, I guess actually I kind of can't. I don't know why I wrote down my script, but you know what? Why can't I describe why I love it? Well, let me tell you why I love it. I literally wrote it as the next sentence in my script. What I do know is I love how the game teaches the player to choose their path carefully by having Hans die in a scripted set up top. But the thing is, with the right strategy, you can still go up the top. It's a fun little story gameplay integration moment tutorial of having Hans die. But again, with the right strategy, you can still do it. And it's just, I like that. I like that. I like it a lot. Number 40, Paralog 13, Truly Talented Caledori. This map actually reminds me a lot of Chapter 3, which is why it's so high. When you got Thin Bridges to Chokehold, this map also is elevated by having a couple of really strong sword enemies that go really well with Caledori having a sword catcher in her starting inventory, incentivizing you to use her. That's fun. Number 39, Conquest Chapter 24, Hinoka. This is a map I used to hate for a while, but the high flyer regime is surprisingly really fun when you split up your army and don't just turtle with pair up. Like all of a sudden, like, whoa, this feels like a fun assault. You get scary flyers, both player phase and enemy, where also you kind of get some super range foot units. Quite honestly, like this map makes my little neurons of my brain go burr. I just hexing rod. That's the problem. Number 38, Conquest Chapter 18, Black and White. See, this is actually a map that as I was making this, I was trying to find a reason to put it lower, because instinctively, I just wanted to rank this map lower, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. The forced army split here makes the map more interesting, as well as the multiple bosses, and a turn limit that prevents turtling and incentivizes splitting up your army. Number 37, Revelation Chapter 14, Orders. Quite honestly, another Revelation map that, in theory, I would absolutely adore. But I have some actual serious critiques with this map. Because I like the general map design. It gives you so many options of where to go. And again, having Charlotte and Benny out of the way from the boss, because you essentially can split this map into, like, geographically, the thirds. The left third, Charlotte. The middle third, the boss. The right third, Benny. That's fun. You got fun side objectives with Charlotte and Benny. Wrong! They're not side objectives. This is a route map, not a defeat boss map. Which means you're going to have to deal with Charlotte and Benny, whether it's recruiting or killing anyways. Next problem, Elise is the only one that can recruit them! Which means if you want to recruit both of them, you have to essentially world tour Elise on this map. Where this map could be so much more fun if you had one unit that could recruit Charlotte going to the left, units that can recruit Benny going to the right, then your main force going down straight to Silas. If you had these villages, Charlotte and Benny, all as side objectives, this map could have been peak, but it's ruined. Number 36, Paralog 22, Abrupt Clash, Nina. Multiple paths to go with the goal of stopping the boss from exiting. This is kind of that chase map type thing I talked about. The combined placement of you have a chest on both sides, as well as just the places of Nina and where she runs. It gives you an incentive to split up, and it's honestly, again, the enemy placement also is really fun. It's thin enough to really be like, okay, there's no scariness from splitting up your army. This is a really fun map. I actually really like it. Number 35, Birthright Chapter 17, Lost in the Ice. While it's not as good as its Conquest counterpart, I do still love this version of the map. I greatly enjoy that this is one of those Birthright maps where you essentially get to pick your own difficulty, as you can bum rush the boss, or you can talk to the villages and get the enemies to spawn, and, I don't know, makes my brain go burr. Good map. Number 34, Conquest Chapter 22, Sakura. In the past, I had mentioned how I used to play Fates wrong. Again, playing it like Awakening, overly relying on pair up and all that stuff. But I essentially just pair up all the units on this side, not armies, so pair them up to get all the units on one side. When you actually play this game properly, and you actually use like the Dragon Veins on each side to kind of, I don't think cat and mouse is the right word, but cat and mouse, where you like make things go lower on each side over and over again. Like when you, and this cause and effect, when you properly use a cause and effect as a chain on this map, it's actually really fun. It is really fun. Number 33, Revelation Chapter 9, Wanderer. Even with most of the excitement and challenge stripped out of this map compared to its Conquest version, it's still an enjoyable and good map. It's less fun, sure, and obviously, when we get to Conquest Chapter 20, I'll talk more about why this general map is good. Even if this version is not as good. Number 32, Paralog 20, Ultimate Power, Ophelia. Another map that almost feels like a defense map, where so many enemies from the outside come in. The villages also help convince the player to spread themselves more thin. It's a fun map. Number 31, Fire Emblem Fates 6, Lost in Waves. This is what the Revelations final map wishes it could be, despite the fact that that's still B tier, of course. Coast is super fun, and having to fight through your own units, well, technically not your own units, because the DLC, but having to fight through the Gen 1 units is fun. I still am a little angry about that surprise final phase, though. Obviously, it makes sense, because Revelations final map also kind of had another phase on top of it, but I don't know. It's still a really good map. And once Ryoma and Xander get on that map, you're like, oh god, I gotta hurry, oh god. And I like that. That's fine. A tier maps. These are good. I really enjoy playing these maps. Every time that I went to play Fire Emblem Fates with Let's Play, I hoped that I'd have one of these maps. And most of the time I did. Because there are still 30 more maps to go in this game. Number 30. Paralog 19, Great Heroism, Percy. The gimmick is using Dragon Veins to scare off enemies, and that turns an okay map into a really fun and unique one. Sometimes it's as simple as having a just simple, fun gimmick to elevate a map up to A tier. It's that simple, really. Number 29, Revelation Chapter 22, Memories. This is yet another one of those wacky Fire Emblem Fates maps where if you play it, it is fun. It just so happens the last time I mentioned that was also a Chapter 22. If you actually use a Dragon Veins to remove the forest, instead of just going around the top or bottom, or just using Flyer Pair Up to bum rush a ret, this is actually a really fun map. Again, you shouldn't just be able to go through the top or the bottom. You should have to use the Dragon Veins or Flyer to skip this map. Little nitpick. Number 28, Paralog 5, Bold Approach, Sophie. This map gives you so many different ways to approach it, with 2 different ways to get to the boss. Top and the bottom with the chokehold little bridge thing. Putting Sophie and the green units on opposite corners also help convince the player to split up their army. And again, recruiting Sophie and saving the green units are fun side objectives. Good map. Number 27, Revelation Chapter 12, Frozen Sea. I love the start of this map where you can't actually leave the boat, so essentially, this map starts as a defend map until the Dragon Veins eventually show up. You could also, tease it by pair up flyers, but don't do that. Also, you almost have no flyers at this point in time, so that's hard to do. Once the Dragon Veins show up, this map does become a little less interesting, but it's still fine. And the beginning's just, I love the beginning, so A tier. Number 26, Revelation Chapter 19, Hidden Strings. This is kind of like Chapter 15, except now you actually have units to use. Be able to control the units and their copy is really fun. Having what happens to the copy or the original affect each other is really fun. Be able to heal one for a combat on the other side. It's all fun. And also, sorry that I'm starting on some of these maps, I'm starting to say way less. It's just that this video is really, really long, and we still have 25 maps to go. Number 25, Paralog 9, Saizo versus Saizo, Asugi. Again, another chase map. It's funny that all of the chase maps are the Paralogs. But where you chase map where you want to kill the boss before Asugi leaves, and you have multiple different ways to go. You have to use, one of the ways to go through is using Dragon Veins to open the main doors. So that's the quickest way to the boss is to use Dragon Veins. But that means your royal units, the ones that can use Dragon Veins, tend to be some of your stronger units, so you have to kind of get ready to defend or attack with your less powerful units, or you can use the doors, which is a little bit going out of the way. Fun. Number 24, Conquest Chapter 8, Cold Reception. This really is Birthright Chapter 17, but with way better enemy placement, and it feels so much tighter. And you're giving a reason to hurry and visit the villages first to make sure that map is less difficult, to make sure you don't get swarmed by enemies. Melting the Ice is a lot more fun than freezing the lake, as Melting the Ice allows you to get a breather turn by freezing a bunch of enemies in place. My biggest complaint is, after a couple playthroughs of normal mode, this map's actually become way too easy compared to the first few times I played it where it felt so alive. Number 23, Birthright Chapter 25, Trader Revealed. The general layout of this map helps push the player to split their army to get all the chests, as well as having the strong enemies blocking going forward right in front of you. Now, I say they're not too hard that you can't kill them, but again, it's just a nice little incentive to split your army. Be like. Number 22, Birthright Chapter 19, Rainbow Sage. While I dislike most versions of this map, or well, dislike maybe a strong word, but I love the Birthright one. The gimmick of having min-max enemies where you have some rooms where they have like high strength, no anything else, low defense, super high res, super high res. It helps be like to the player, hey, check enemy stats, and that's so much more fun than like a tutorial. Number 21, Conquest Chapter 20, Winds of Change. Another map I used to not like, and one of the maps that would stop me from enjoying Conquest for so long. But now that I'm a better player, the wind gimmick is so much fun. It allows the player to have so much control over the enemy. You could use the Dragon Vein at the end, wait for the end of turn, get fast transportation through the native wind, or you can use Dragon Veins to bring the enemies closer to you. And it's just also just a level of unpredictability of what the wind's going to be like next turn, and just lovely map. Lovely map. Number 20, Birthright Chapter 27, King Garen. I love maps that starts you with threats on all sides. As someone who's most used to enemy phase heavy games like Fire Emblem 4, Fire Emblem 5, and those are the ones I've played so much for so long, I enjoy maps that kind of allow me to go back to my roots at sucking a Fire Emblem by having the first turn by just being defensive, trying to any phase survive. This map would be better with Anti-Turtle. Number 19, Revelation Chapter 26, The Validite King. This is the previous map, except with reasons not to turtle. The water and chests on completely different sides give you a reason to split up and not turtle. It's so that you can easily get overwhelmed if you don't try to drag evade, plug up the water reinforcements. And, well, if you have enough of these, you can also like get the chest right on the way. Or you can do what I did and just roll toward the end, which is the boring way. But I don't think that's what they wanted. Number 18, Conquest Chapter 27, Empty King. Yet another banger Chapter 27, I guess. Long, scary hallway with scary enemies that you can skip past by killing enemies in the side room and taking the stairs to avoid entirely. I like it. It's fun. Number 17, Heirs of Fates 5, Endless Dawn. I imagine this is intended to kind of feel like all the other penultimate maps of Fates. It's like, notice how 2 Chapter 27s just happened. And like I already talked previously about how like Chapter 26 and 27 of Revelation feel more like the Chapter 27 and Endgame of the other routes. So I think it's no coincidence this map has that kind of feel and is around the exact same quality. Separate your units physically and with player reinforcements. I do feel like this map is more limiting than the other very late maps, so it also allows for a more predictable experience, I guess. And these strong enemies are also really fun to take down. Number 16, Heirs of Fates 2, Realms Collide. This map is actually a banger. Not only is this so much better than Chapter 25 in Conquest, but this map is scary as Shiro is a machine that you want to avoid at all costs. Player units start on so essentially separate sides of the map is also a fun challenge that helps reinforce splitting up your army, especially like you don't need all your units to survive. But if Shiro like catches up to you and all your units are together, So again, that makes Shiro a lot more easy and doable. This map just as a whole is a very doable and fun challenge, and I was not expecting to leave the Let's Play being an absolute simp on this map. Number 15, Paralog 16 Abducted Forest. Oh boy, do I love this map. Again, multiple ways to enter, and a strict time limit to save forest. You can use only one entrance, but it may take more time to get to forest, or you can use both entrances, the front entrance and the side entrance, to ensure that you get to forest in time by trying to take out more of the enemies. I didn't even realize there was a side entrance for so long, and once I did, I was like, oh, that changes everything. And change it did is I love this map even more. Number 14, Paralog 4, Fight or Flight, Wire. Very similar to the previous map where it said you need to rush to save as much of the green units as possible. And again, placed with multiple entrances. If you feel bold, you can go right to the boss. But there's also so many more entrances that you can take to defend at different points, and it's just a really fun and engaging map. Number 13, Paralog 12, Sweet Dreams, Minima. When I first played this map, it was actually a huge surprise. I love the rush to the center, and you can use Dragon Veins to try and avoid the extremely strong enemies that are littered throughout, blocking the chokehold points, as those enemies don't move. Too bad the map is routed, not defeat boss, or defeat boss, defend, or arrive. Those all would have worked. So you still need to kill the super strong enemies anyways, which kind of ruins that choice, but oh well. Number 12, Heirs of Fates 4, Light Sacrifice. This is the only map of the DLC that's based on an old map that isn't better than the map that's based on. That isn't to say that this map is bad, though. But it feels, for the most part, the same as Conquest Chapter 23, except kind of neutered in some ways, especially where other reused maps still have different feel approaches. The Route Victory condition is also a cowabummer as it limits how you approach this map, as you have to take out Asami. For instance, well, in the original map, you can cower it out of every fight except for Takumi, but you have to do all the onslaught parts. Again, still an amazing map, just not quite as good. S tier maps. Yeah, I love these. I love these maps. This S tier is 11 maps long. That's the biggest S tier I've ever done. And yeah, part of that's because there's 105 maps in this game. But this is generally just an extremely, extremely solid one. And there are some of these maps where I have nitpicks at. I have nitpicks with some of these maps, but it's out of love, not out of neutrality or dislike. Number 11, Conquest Chapter 7, Cold Reception. What a fantastic starting map that is extremely interesting, despite boring Faceless. The map itself is fun with lots of chokeholds. You start with almost no units, and you slowly get more and more to help handle all the approaching enemies coming from your location. This is one of the best early game maps in the entirety of Fire Emblem. I love this map. I am a simp of it. Number 10, Revelation Chapter 13, A Lost Piece. Wild. I like every Chapter 13 in Fire Emblem Fates so much that they are all in S tier. Even though this is the worst of the Chapter 13s, I do enjoy the gimmick of being able to move the hazards, although that is done a little bit better. And I do genuinely like the layout of the map. I think the one block chokehold to get over to the center that could be made a little bit bigger through the Dragon Vein is all a ton of fun. And I like the different sides. I just wish I had a better incentive other than reinforcements to cause you to split your army. Number 9, Conquest Chapter 16, Invasion. The money gimmick is a great way to get players to split their army and to play fast, which leads to an exhilarating experience that can also help teach newer players to not turtle, and that playing fast is almost always more fun than turtling. It's just sometimes you feel scared too. And this map really does help try to say, don't do that. My one gripe would be, I wish Shiro was a random NPC and not the last one you talk to. But I guess it'd be the last one you talk to does help reinforce, like, hey, you're gonna have to get to all these points, so be fast. So maybe I'm just wrong. Actually, I probably am just wrong. Number 8, Birthright Chapter 13, Another Hope. The plentiful number of villages forces the player to either sacrifice villages, play extremely fast, or separate the army, or all of the above. This map gives an exciting feel, especially with you start from the bottom and make your way up towards the top. The Dragon Phase also reduces the enemy HP, and the chokeholds is really fun. On the other hand, number 7, Conquest Chapter 13, Uprising, is the previous map, but better. Something about starting at the top and going to the bottom is way better, because this is one of those few face maps where it is essentially Crimson Flower versus Azure Moon 3 houses, where you really just move where you start from. Except here, there's also another boss, which is also really scary. And the second boss, Takumi, is right by one of the sides, so you can take him on early, or you can wait. And everything that I said about the previous map is essentially still true here. A great map. Number 6, Conquest Final, Night Breaks Through. The third and final map that used to make me hate Conquest. By the time I recorded this map for the Let's Play, though, I was already starting to like it more and more. But since then, I've started to become a simp for this map. As what it does what Birthright and Birthright's Final and Revelation Chapter 27 wish it could. It takes a previous map and warps it in a really fun way. Those who can ignore a majority of the previous map, you start where you ended the previous map, and you need to get to where you started the previous map. You actually need to go the whole way. Those hallways, oh, now they're scary with things coming out of them. You got Takumi's Bite and Blast in a long, scary hallway. You gotta hide behind things. Strong enemies continuously coming. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And using pair up for a final boss. Oh yeah, that is an awesome ending. And my skill issues will not make me hate this map. I love this map now, which is crazy because I used to despise it. And this map is one of the reasons why I waited so long to do a Fates Let's Play because I didn't want to deal with this map. But it's awesome. Number 5, Conquest Chapter 12, Bitter Intrigue. What can I say? I love the potion medicine gimmick. And it's an escape map? Easy win! I did kind of wish I wasn't a Dragon Vein to just break all the medicine to allow for a more strategic use of all of the medicine, whatever. But whatever, it's a great, fun map, and I love it. Great, fun map, I love it. I love it, I love it. And again, there's so many different ways to approach it. You could split your army and go the sides as well. Oh my goodness, it's so good. And a turn limit to make you go fast. So good. Number 4, Birthright Chapter 12, Dark Reunit. Oh my goodness, another Chapter 12 escape map. Oh, I love escape maps. So it is no surprise that I love this map. You can easily escape by parrying up cord on a flyer, or you can try to get more XP by fighting enemies. This map gives you a lot of places to chokehold, but don't go too slow because on hard mode and above, Xander will move. So be careful. Number 3, Conquest Chapter 23, Possessed. One of the most epic feeling maps I've ever played in this franchise. Even before I liked Conquest, I actually loved this map. I can think of no maps besides this that truly give the feeling of sieging a heavily guarded fort, of an onslaught. The chasm combined with the paired up bosses and ballista all contribute to this feeling. You can pair up to get your units right across the chasm with flyers, or you can charge full force. I love that choice. You can truly choose how much of the enemies you really want to fight. Number 2, Paralog 21, Bright Smile, Soleil. A defend map in all but name. Side objective to go save the green units. Lots of places to chokehold with movable terrain to divert enemies to have even more control over the chokeholding points and the maps. This is easily the best Paralog in the game, and just one of the best of 3DS FE and maybe top tier Fire Emblem in general. I didn't use the children units the first time I played Conquest for years. And even when I did play, I didn't use Laszlo initially. So for years, until my 3rd playthrough, I never experienced this delightful map. Number 1, you know it. I know it. Let's just end the video and not talk about Conquest Chapter 10, Unhappy Reunion. I'm kidding. But genuinely, I can list off hundreds of reasons why this map rules. But people much better at talking about maps and what makes good FE maps than me have done that 1,000 times already. What I will say is I love defend maps, as you've probably gathered by now. And this is probably the best one ever made. This game gives you so many fantastic tools in this map to approach it. So many different paths to defend. And the Dragon Vein completely changes everything up. Is the problem with defend maps is they get stale by the end of it typically, but this map does not do that. But yeah, that's it. That 105 maps. Yeah, this is a long video, of course. And here's all this stuff on the screen. I don't want to waste too much of your time, frankly, because I know this was a demanding video to watch. But I love Fire Emblem Fates now. And I feel like I've gone way better since my earlier map rankings to be able to talk about why I like maps. And I think being able to look at retrospective why I did not like this game originally and why I like it now, I think being able to look at this game like that has actually helped me not just become a better Fire Emblem player, but better be able to talk about a franchise I love so much. And who knows, maybe one of these days I'll go back to my old map rankings and redo them and now I can better talk about them. This game's so large, it has so much. But it has so much that's so worth playing. I truly hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next time.